Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Pinkin channels. Now, we're braced for a very quiet January in terms of Norwich City, but the Pinkin have gone out and made a big January signing of our own. We're delighted to announce a very new columnist. He's a familiar face to, I'm sure, Norwich City fans out there. Mr. Chris Sutton joins us, Norwich City's all-time Premier League record goal scorer. So that's a nice accolade to have, and we'll get into that in just a moment. But Chris, first and foremost, columnist for the Pinkin. That's another string to add to your numerous bows. How pleased are you about that?
No, I'm delighted to come on board with the Pinkin. It's a paper I'm very familiar with. Back in the day when I used to go and watch my dad play at Yarmouth Town, we always used to get a Pinkin on a Saturday evening, and it's a brilliant paper. So I'm delighted to be working for the Pinkin now. I'm an aging signing now. Back in the day, I think I was a pretty good value as a player, and I hope I can bring something to the Pinkin.
I'm sure you will. I was going to say we've got Ewan Roberts as a columnist as well, so as a front two, that's pretty formidable, isn't it? I mean, you didn't get the chance to play up front with Ewan, but that would have been nice. At least you get to do it in terms of words, I suppose.
Yeah, there would have been a few elbows flying around, I think, with myself and Ewan up front. Not the quickest front line, but no, Ewan was a fantastic servant to Norwich City. I enjoy reading his columns. Yeah, I catch up with him very occasionally in coffee shops around Norwich. We both like a coffee, but no, I'm a big fan of Ewan.
Good stuff. I guess the obvious question is, what can people kind of expect from your columns? People obviously see you and your punditry on the radio, on the television, up in Scotland as well. You do lots of stuff. So what can they expect from a Chris Sutton Norwich City column?
Well, honesty, I think, is the most important thing. Look, I'm a big fan of Norwich City. I count myself as a Norfolk boy. I was brought up just outside the city, a little village called Horsford. And, my dad played for the club and I follow the club closely. I, played for the club for 5 years. I read your columns, Connor, and what I like about your columns is, I know that you love the club as well, but you're honest. And I think that's the most important thing. You can't pull the wool over people's eyes. This season has been an awful season. One of the worst seasons that I can ever remember. Now, Norwich still have a chance of retrieving this season, but most fans have been bitterly disappointed. A big outlay in the summer, a record outlay, and the team just haven't performed on the pitch.
Absolutely, and we're going to touch upon Norwich's season a little bit later, but just back to you. I mean, that accolade, you obviously went and did some magnificent things in your career, won the Premier League, obviously played for England, played for Celtic, so some massive stuff. But in terms of that Norwich City record that you still hold, I guess two elements to this question. One, are you still surprised that you hold that record? Maybe not given Norwich City seasons in the Premier League, particularly in the last 10 years or so. But B, how much does it mean to you? Does it mean anything to you? I suppose is maybe the question.
Oh, absolutely. That season, that would have been 93-94. That was the Bayern Munich season. It was the Bayern Munich season. I think, yes, it was. 25 Premier League goals. That's a big deal. Now, I did go into the club to do a shirt presentation, and Stuart Webber did remind me that was a 42 game season. Albeit 25 goals, I think was a pretty good haul. And then I moved on to Blackburn Rovers and had a good time at Blackburn Rovers. But I've got great memories, and the biggest memory probably would be Bayern Munich of my time then, but also standing in a tunnel with the Norwich City team, knowing that we were capable on our day of beating absolutely everybody. And we were a little bit gung-ho as a team, but had a lot of good players in that team, the likes of Ian Crook and Rule Fox, who were a big help to me in terms of creating opportunities, and I was just there to stick them in.
Well, you did that very well, and certainly better than anyone in yellow and green has done it 42 season or 38 game season, that's for sure, ever since. Certainly the numbers show that. You spoke about that Bayern Munich game. Are there any other kind of memorable moments that really stand out from your time at Norwich? I'm sure there's probably a fair few.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that whole season, Mike Walker, the impact that he had at the club. I mean, the 92-93 season, we were favourites for relegation. First game of the season, I get hauled off at Arsenal. We're 2-0 down. Mark Robbins comes on as a substitute. We win the game. And, that was a season when Norwich City actually nearly won the Premier League. We actually weren't that far off. Not that we believed it. But, they were times when we felt that we could, really, really compete against all the top sides. And as I say, we had a team on our day, players who were capable of taking the game to anybody, and it was a great learning curve for me as a young player to come into a team with so many experienced players with top flight experience and quality, and it was as I say, a brilliant learning curve, and I kicked on and had a pretty decent career off the back of my time at Norwich City. But that's where I made my name for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose maybe there's that Norwich team, there's the Leicester team as well. But do you think it's becoming rarer in modern football for a team like Norwich City, for example, to compete for the Premier League title with all the wealth and all the way that clubs are run in the Premier League, and I suppose the size and magnitude of it now?
Yeah, I think so. You look. I don't want to keep saying back in the day. It wasn't that long ago, but it was more of a level playing field. With clubs' finances and. Not that Norwich City were a wealthy club back then, but, with the way that finances now dictate transfer markets and players coming into clubs for extortionate fees, Norwich City have never been able to compete. Back then, it was a level playing field, and certainly we could compete. Now the game has changed. Having said all that, I do think that the current team should be doing much better.
Yes, and on to the current team then. We sit here after 19 games. That's halfway through the season. Norwich have scored 8 goals. You're obviously a man who did score goals, and they have players in that team who have scored goals in the past. Timo Pukki probably the most noticeable. What do they do to improve that output? I suppose it's almost an impossible task in the second half of the season to get it up to the place they need to be to stay in the Premier League. Still only 3 points adrift. I mean, we spoke about that a little bit before we started hitting record. But as a former striker, how do you look at it now, and what are you seeing that they need to improve on in order to ensure that the goals are a bit more consistent?
Well, I think, first and foremost, the team have to improve in all areas, but scoring goals has been a massive, massive issue all season. I watch Norwich play and I wonder how they are going to score a goal. I think you look back to the Championship and Bundia, who was clearly an important player, he'd get on the half turn and slide balls through to Pukki. They had a great understanding and a great relationship. I think clearly Norwich City have missed him, but other players have come in and just not stepped up. And I think that's a big issue for Dean Smith. I just wonder whether he will go. You're better versed to answer this maybe than me. Will go into the transfer market and look for an addition up top, because Timo Pukki really has carried the team with his goals, and he's not scored enough. But Norwich City need to create more opportunities. I've got to say, I've been slightly disappointed with Adam Ida. When I look at him, he has, great physical attributes. I think he does okay in games, but I think he could offer far more. And he's had his opportunities this season. I think he could put himself about a lot more than he does. But, clearly goals need to come from other areas. Todd Cantwell, last time Norwich City were in the Premier League, I think he got six Premier League goals, something like that. And, that's a bit of a head scratcher, what's happened to his career. But I think that Norwich City are at the stage now where things can't get any worse. And, the players just need to show a bit of courage. They've hit rock bottom. And eventually you think, well, this is embarrassing for us, the way the team have performed. We need to show we're Premier League quality, and nothing to lose now. Everybody expects Norwich City to go down. So, I'd expect the players to use, the humiliation factor in many respects as a tool to get the season up and running. Absolutely nothing to lose. And when they get chances and in and around the box, I mean, what did I used to think when I was in my pomp, as we're seeing with Pukki again? Pukki doesn't think when he's on fire. And I used to, not think too much when the goals are going in. And I think at this moment in time, hesitation is what's killing Norwich City. As a striker, you cannot hesitate. You can't have time to think. You have to be proactive, make runs. And I think there's there's a fear of missing chances at Norwich City at this moment in time, and that has to change.
I know there's a goalkeepers union, so if there's a strikers union, then it might preempt your answer to this next question. But when a team isn't scoring goals in the way that Norwich City aren't, there's a lot of focus on the strikers and what they are or maybe aren't doing. But in Norwich City's case, is the answer simply to go out and get another one and hope that he's the one to score the goals, or actually are there wider issues behind that? Because we're looking at attacking midfielders, and as much praise as perhaps Milo Rashica got before his injury, still only just one assist from him, still no goals.
Yeah.
And no goals in that forward line really at all. So what is it for you? Is it just the striking issue that Norwich needs to sort out? Is it kind of the players behind as well?
Well, I think we've seen enough games this season. Norwich City don't create enough chances, enough opportunities, and it's not one of those situations where the fact of the matter is, I think back to it was the Wolves game where I think Pukki had an opportunity, and was it Lucas Root towards the end of the game had a chance, and they were two gilt-edged opportunities. I can't think of too many other times other than the big miss earlier on in the season, Josh Sargent with the open goal, where Norwich have had unbelievable chances, and they need to find a way of creating opportunities, and then. That would be a big step in terms of moving forward. But at this moment in time, I watched Norwich play, and I think, how on earth are they going to score a goal? How are Norwich City going to get up the pitch? And they look lost. And that's, I'm not blaming Dean Smith for that. I think he's had a hell of a situation to take over. Maybe Norwich City could get confidence from the fact that Southampton in the second half and the performance against Wolves. Manchester United, I thought we all thought that the club had turned a corner with that, but Manchester United have been ranked rotten, and since then. But now's a chance where the players have a chance to put it right. And as I say, I think that if I was sat in the dressing room or part of this current Norwich City squad, I'd feel humiliated and embarrassed what's happened this season, and I would want to prove. I'm a Premier League player, and I don't know the mentality within the dressing room. I don't know many players personally, but you don't want to go through your career with people sort of pointing the finger, saying that you're a good Championship player. You want to prove yourself at the highest level. Bottom line, too many players have underperformed.
Absolutely. Just finally, then, I don't want us to go in too much depth, given that you've got a column next week, and that will probably maybe address some of these issues in a bit more depth. We'll see. But just finally, Dean Smith, and what do you make of him since he's taken over? Because it's probably been a little bit difficult for him in the sense that he had pretty much a healthy squad to pick from the 5 games, and I think we both agree that performances did improve. They obviously got the win against Southampton, the draw against Wolves that you mentioned, that performance against Manchester United, and thereafter he's been kind of having to kind of shift through a squad that has been decimated by COVID and injuries. So do you think it's fair for Norwich City fans to judge him maybe at this stage? Is it still too early to tell how he's going to sort of coach Norwich City and what Norwich City are going to look like under Dean Smith in the long term?
Yeah, look, I think it's far too early to really judge him. I mean, you've mentioned the COVID situation and injuries, and I think that that it's been a major factor. Dean Smith, I think, wanted the game off against Aston Villa, where Norwich City were comprehensively beaten, and he's got a big task. Hence why he got the job in the first place. The team were underperforming under Daniel Farke. You can't get away from the fact that the signings which were made over the summer, other than Matthias Norman, probably just haven't been that good and haven't performed to the level which would have been expected. And I think that's been a large part of what's killed Norwich City this season. We're trying to get excited about Rashica. And you said, 1 assist all season. He hasn't really performed. So we're looking for things which maybe haven't been there, more through hope than absolute confidence with what we've seen with their own eyes. But there's a chance to turn things round. I think the likes of Hanley coming back in, and when Norman is fit again, Norwich City have a better chance when they play. But scoring goals is going to be a big ask, and quite how he turns it round, Dean Smith, remains to be seen. I do notice, I follow the club on Twitter, that they often post little finishing drills, and and you see players hitting the back of the net. I'm not too keen on that. You know, I think that they should be keeping things under wraps, and when Norwich start scoring a barrel load of goals again, maybe post more stuff. But as I say, it's an opportunity for the players now. Everybody expects Norwich to go down. You know, everybody's been critical of Norwich, and I have to sit on the radio and on television defending the club at times for its model. But bottom line is the team need to do much better. And you know, the manager's the one who carries the can. But I don't think anybody expects Norwich City to stay up this season under Dean Smith. But that's his challenge. I just think, looking at the league table, it's been awful. It's been so bad. I'd be thinking we can't play any worse than what we did in the first half of the season. And because of that, we have a chance. There have been, you know, a lot of poor teams in the Premier League this season. We have a chance to retrieve it, get out of it. There's a generous run of fixtures coming up. So show some courage, prove people wrong. There's nothing better than within football to prove people wrong. Everybody's written Norwich off.
Lovely. I'm glad we've ended on a positive note. Chris, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Of course, you can read Chris's columns in the Pink 'Un and on our Pink 'Un Plus app as well. Delighted to have him on board. It's going to be brilliant to get his opinions every week, and I'm sure you guys will enjoy reading them as well. So that's good stuff. We'll catch you again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.